Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. We hope you are enjoying our endeavor into the way that we are doing these new episodes. So here we go with another fresh one coming at you today, talking about who's drawing the house. That is our topic for the day. But Frank, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the topic today. I'm excited to get into some wrestling and what do we talk about? The nature of the business and all that. I'm just excited to talk about all that. And what do we always say? It's a great time to be a fan.
Dude, fantastic time to be a fan.
Absolutely. We got Roman coming back this week on FS1. So, I'm clearly excited for that.
Yeah, Roman came back, the bloodline got its house in order. Even Paul's hair turned back to black.
Did they?
Yeah. Well,
they got funky last week.
They got the house in order.
All of a sudden, everybody seemed to forget who the starting quarterback is. I don't know.
Tis true. I would say if anything, you're about to see the bloodline evolve.
Okay.
If anything, I think that we're going to see a bloodline maybe smaller in stature.
Okay.
Maybe with some new members.
That could be interesting.
Maybe the bloodline is just the tribal chief. Maybe that's it.
No more faction. Just
faction.
Stand alone.
Maybe it's just him standing alone on top of the mountain.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of it's evolving, it's changing. The Usos they've gone away. You got Jimmy trying to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
You got Jay over there, taking the stance of, hey, I'm going to go over here and be superhero with Cody.
Yeah, that's what they did. Well, somehow or another, I don't know, maybe it's the whole twin thing. Maybe it's the dynamic between them two just can't get away from each other, can they?
Nah, they can't.
They separated them, put them on different shows, got them wearing different colors.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're interfering in each other's matches and they're popping up on each other's show. Them two just can't get away from each other. It's like that maternal bond. They're just dragged back to each other.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a true, I don't know if we're going to see a brother versus brother, but I think you're going to see some type of a line in the sand kind of drawn, so to speak, eventually. I don't know how Solo kind of plays into that. Hell, maybe it's a three-way dance.
I mean, there you go.
That would be interesting.
It could be just like in the living room back in the day, when they were growing up. Although Solo's significantly younger than the other two, so Solo, back then they were probably kicking his butt. But now,
and in my opinion, Solo should be the one coming out on top.
You would think, but I don't know. I feel like it might not be his time yet. They seem to be trying to get behind this whole main event Jey Uso thing. Yeah. They see the crowd reaction, when he's pumping his arms out there and everybody's all fired up. But obviously they love that. They haven't come out with any merch for him or anything. I mean, he's got one shirt, but they haven't really developed any line for him. I don't know, but how WWE is. They got the whole LA Knight thing going right now. It's like, okay, everybody's a go behind him, and now everybody else is kind of just flailing around for a little bit until.
Let's talk about old LA Knight for just a second. So he's getting his championship match in Saudi.
Yeah, he sure is.
We said push the man, but. Hold up, damn.
They pushed him to the moon.
They pushed him to the moon to push him off the moon, I think.
Yeah, well, so what's the old adage? What do the veterans always say? It's not always about who goes over, it's about who gets. So I was listening to Busted Open just the other day. That's specifically what they said. They said, hey, there's no chance in hell, shout out to Vince, no chance in hell that LA Knight wins that championship at Crown Jewel. Okay, we all know that going in, right?
So we kind of knew the same thing with Sami Zayn, though, too.
You had to know it. Now, I knew it with Cody. Somehow or another, y'all didn't. I certainly knew it with Cody. I told y'all. We got it on record. But I got receipt. Pull the receipt. But producer, you pull the receipts later. We'll work on it. But nonetheless, so we know that. But it ain't always about, nobody's gone over Roman for 3 years, but a lot of people have elevated. Sammy's elevated. The Usos have elevated. People have elevated. So LA Knight can get his stock up if he can show that he can hang with Roman.
That's the ticket. He's going to go in there and they're going to make a go of it. I mean, they're already going at it at live shows. So I mean, he's going to be in there. Could he potentially even hit the BFT? Maybe.
Probably.
I really think he'll hit it on it. And then there's going to be, the interference and everything.
Activity's going to happen.
Right.
What's the old song? Action took place. Action will take place. Things will happen. But
what a shot in the arm if he does pull it off.
Oh, stop.
I mean, hold on now. Just think about it for a minute. Think about the reaction and the pop that could be heard around the world, but then you kill everything that you've done for Roman.
So yeah, that's the thing. So the pop that'll be heard around the world. First of all, they'll be in Saudi?
Yeah.
So that pop ain't gonna be that big. So if they were gonna do it, they definitely wouldn't do it over there. I mean, that's
a WrestleMania.
That's a WrestleMania moment. Yeah. I mean, for whoever gets it, it's a WrestleMania moment. For two. Yeah, so yeah, it would be a shot in the arm. I'll give you that, but it would be the Johnson & Johnson COVID shot in the arm. It would be the worst shot in the arm of all. It would be,
we had to bring that back up.
Absolutely. Well, that was the bootleg shot.
It was the bootleg shot.
Anybody who said, "Oh, I'm just one and done. I'm going to go get this thing." Most of y'all are real sick right now and don't know why. So we ain't going to delve into that no more. But that's what that would be the equivalent to, is giving him the title now when he's gone over two people. He's had two significant feuds on the main line.
And to give him the title over Cody, I don't like that.
If his story ends before Cody does, I mean, nobody would like that. The fans immediately would like it just for the fact that it's taking the title off Roman. But come Monday or Friday when he comes out with that belt, and then all of a sudden it sinks into everybody, the Drew McIntyres, the Edges, the Daniel Bryans, half the roster that fought Roman ain't even here no more. The rest of them are just kind of mid-card. All those guys fell off, and now all of a sudden LA Knight wins it. I don't think that would go over like a fart in church. It would be a great moment. It would be funny in the moment. Everybody would smile and cheer, but after the smell starts sticking in, you're like, ooh, that didn't hit the right way.
Let me transition, since we're talking about fart in churches. What in the world is going on with Nia Jax?
I knew you were going to Nia Jax.
What is this?
Because her whole. I knew you were going there. As soon as we got into that. So I'll be honest, I didn't dislike Nia's promo this past Monday. I heard the whole thing about, the squash thing is too much. Like, they rely on that a little too much, that I'm going to squash her and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, she was right. What she was saying in the ring, when she was saying, Rhea, you want me to squash A, B, C, and D for you. She was right. I mean, that's where sometimes the wrestlers and the creative miss, where the obvious, they don't accept the obvious. They want to kind of dance around it like everybody's not thinking it.
Right.
Everybody, this is an age-old adage. Rhea wanted Nia and all them to fight so they could all beat each other up while she ran away, and that's exactly what happened. So Nia wasn't wrong in what she said.
I'm with you. I agree with what she had to say. I didn't like the tone in which she said it. We've already got a Karen character. We've already got that running around. I don't need another one of those. I need Nia to come in there and, for lack of a better term, have some bass in her voice. And just look at them going, look, I'm the reason why she's in this 5-way, because she wants me to come over here and smash you. Like, I want her to have that attitude about it. I don't want this whole I'm better than you Karen attitude out of Nia. I want a killer instinct attitude out of Nia. That's what I want. So
you wanted her to be like a tribal priestess.
Hey. There you go.
So we got one of those. We got a tribal something already. We can't have two of them. So she's got to carve her own niche in there somewhere. Now I agree. The whole, the whiny, soccer mom type deal ain't gonna be her, right? That's not what. But she also can't be Roman. I mean, she's got to carve her own way in there, and it's just gonna be interesting to do.
I need her to be the female version of Bronson Reed. That's what I need.
So first of all, you want to call her big. So we can't do that.
Can't call her big.
Right, you can't call her big. She is big.
Hey, which that makes me happy because I don't like big Bronson Reed.
So we love big Bronson Reed. No. As long as, but you notice when you refer to him now, you say big Bronson Reed.
You kind of have to.
They've carved it into your mind to say big.
Like I say Gunther now instead of Walter.
Exactly. That's his name. His legal name is Gunther.
That is not his name.
His name is.
I will die on that hill.
And Bronson Reed's first name is Big. So we're gonna go with that. That's how those go. His first name Big, middle name Bronson, last name Reed.
Oh man, but yeah, that's what I want. But I will say this: out of this 5-way match that we're getting, Rhea retains. She's walking out of there with the belt.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that is clearly evident in the society we're dealing with now in WWE, flip-flopping titles ain't gonna happen. Now I know people are saying, well, what about the tag title? They got to give you something. That was a season premiere. You no other titles are changing. You know Roman ain't changing. You know Seth ain't dropping on Raw.
The only change you about to see in them tag titles, though, going forward, I believe, is a redesign.
So, yeah, thank God. We should be getting one set of titles.
One set of titles.
Unfortunately, I think they're going to be like the women's championships where they still float between show to show because that's going to open up that door to float. And I get it. You know, they want to have that flexibility if need be. You know, break glass and shall enter. They got that whole tag team thing for that. So, okay. It's okay. I get it. But, yeah, that red and blue. And it better not be like the red and blue merged together type design.
I'm hoping not.
It completely better be a new design of belt.
Design belt.
Something. Give me something fresh. Give me something new.
Yep.
I ain't gonna buy it, but I'll definitely appreciate looking at it if you do that. So.
I'll tell you who is going to buy something, though, and that's a new freshly ticket to a fresh PLE that got announced today.
Yeah, I saw something about that. What was it? Bash in Berlin or something? Yeah. Dude. I was like, wait, what's this thing? What are we doing here?
So we're getting a PLE in Berlin, Germany.
Yep.
That is phenomenal, but also is bringing to pass what Triple H said his new vision is for WWE. Global wrestling.
Well, he said global NXT, but they're taking the main roster.
They're taking the main roster.
Yeah,
over.
you're not gonna go in a foreign country and take your C show. That ain't gonna happen. He may eventually get to that when he can recruit enough talent to open up an NXT Germany or an NXT India or something. But he ain't gonna start off like that. You ain't gonna start off with those guys, especially not try and show it on Peacock, because you're not gonna get the U.S. audience to tune in for 15 people you have no clue who they are and having wrestling matches. That ain't gonna be us. So.
But yeah, so I'm kind of excited to see what this new PLE is going to hold. Unfortunately, we got to wait damn near a year before we get to see it. But there's already rumors that there's another location in the works for a brand new PLE, and that's Paris.
Yeah. So
I mean, they are truly trying to break down. As Chris Jericho would say, break the walls down.
The walls down. So my question is, because they're going overseas now, are they going to go over there and try and break the Wembley record or whatever the number may have ended up
So
being?
I don't know what the seating is for the Mercedes-Benz area, that stadium, whatever that is. I don't know what the seating chart is for that. But if they can come close to it, I guarantee you they're going to try.
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as I saw it, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, wait, Bash in Berlin, what is this? Then I saw it was a new PLE. I'm like, I wonder if they think they're going to go over there and get all of Europe to come to this thing and go way over 100,000.
So here's what I'm ultimately seeing, though. I'm ultimately seeing this. Dave already did this one time, but it was low key and there was not a lot of competition for it right then. Now that there is competition in the game, as far as AEW, TNA, now there's competition on the rise. I really think WWE is trying to get back into Japan and be the first one to run a PLE in the Tokyo Dome. Besides New Japan.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really think they're trying to get in there and establish that type of a record too.
I could see it, but kind of what we were talking about before about how the Japanese style goes and how AEW plays into that.
It won't be a crossover. It'll be straight.
Yeah, WWE ain't going to play into the Japanese style. So my thinking is, would WWE be able to sell 100,000 tickets in the Tokyo Dome, bringing
easy
their formula of wrestling over there?
Easy.
How so?
Because they have previous New Japan champions on their roster.
Who?
AJ Styles.
Okay. Will he
Brock
still be
Lesnar.
there? Is he still there?
Absolutely, he's still there. He's just taking time, man.
Time for what?
He ain't retired yet.
We'd heard hide nor hair here about
Finn Balor. He was Prince Devin. He was Prince Devin over in New Japan. You got Carl Anderson. I mean, that's Bullet Club members. You've got all kinds of New Japan wrestlers in WWE.
You just ran me down like the short of Brock Lesnar. You just ran me down the highlight of TNA from like 2007. Every name you just said, I'm immediately associated with TNA. Finn Balor's never been there, but for some reason I associate him too now. So he falls.
You telling me a 3-way dance between AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Shinsuke Nakamura? That wouldn't interest you?
5 years ago it would have. I mean, they've killed those characters.
Dude,
now.
they're about to unleash Shinsuke.
What they just do to Nakamura? They just buried Nakamura.
No, that's right. They buried Nakamura. They buried him. They're burying the WWE version of Nakamura. That's finally what's going on, and it took his promo Monday night to open my eyes and realize what they're doing with Nakamura. They are killing off his WWE lineage to re-emerge him as the New Japan Shinsuke Nakamura. It's coming. It's happening. He went on there and he said, who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the one to set me free? That's what he said Monday night.
Is it going to be Ricochet?
Don't know who it's going to be yet.
Oh,
don't know who it's going to be. It's yet to be seen. It's unfolding. And that's what I'm loving with Shinsuke right now, because I've got New Japan knowledge. I'm watching the slow burn of this character develop, and I am loving it. It's happening.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you are, because I definitely didn't love him not winning the title last month.
I didn't like him not winning it, and I felt like it was a bad call, but now I'm starting to understand.
If they got other things in the works for him that don't associate with the title, okay. Plus, I mean,
maybe it's going to be Finn, the one that sets him free.
Looking back through it now, being able to see that they got Drew coming into the mix with with the title. Okay, I can see, if you were going to move into Drew McIntyre, Seth, I can see not giving it to Nakamura. So, okay, I can co-sign on with that.
And then one last thing, I want to get a shot in here real quick about what's been happening right now. And it's all WWE, unfortunately, but Becky Lynch dropping the belt. Yep.
She dropped it last night to a fellow Irish woman.
So Valkyria, congratulations. But I will tell you, in watching something in that match, I discovered something about her.
What's that?
That is a little Daniel Bryan in the making.
Yeah, she can go.
She has that style.
She's got a lot of she's got a lot of energy,
She's got the kicks, the holds. She's got everything under. It's like she is a female version of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. I mean, they said they saw it in her, and clearly Becky saw it in her.
Absolutely.
As soon as when they originally said she was wrestling Becky, I'm like, well, that ain't gonna happen. I mean, I honestly thought kind of the same way we just talked about with LA Knight. That ain't gonna happen.
Yep.
It's happening on Tuesday night. Yeah, that ain't happening. And it happened. So, I mean, that's your one shock. So don't be expecting the same thing with LA Knight. That ain't going to happen. But it happened. And, I mean, so it works. Now it's time to send Becky back up to the main roster, let her get into whatever business she's got to get into. And, you leave NXT to kind of do its own thing. So, I get it.
All right. So, talking about doing its own thing, man, we got to go ahead and get on into our topic here today. Talking about who's drawing the house. That's going to be our topic for today.
All right, well, let's get into it.
And what we mean by that is attendance.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean to you as a pro wrestling fan, Frank? Who's drawing the house?
Well, I mean, they've always talked about drawing the house is usually your main event, your top guy, your main storyline, whatever that may be. But, I mean, a lot of things taking effect nowadays with drawing the house. Like, we talked about All In a couple weeks ago. What was it? All Out? Mm-hmm. All Out a few weeks ago. Drew, they said 80,000. Turned out they had like 72,000 in the building, something like that. Whatever the case may be, a ton of people, right? They did all that without announcing any matches. They didn't have a card. They had a lot of ideas. This guy could be there. That guy could be there. Everybody on the roster could be there. But, I mean, they sold it on the event. WrestleMania, when they put the tickets on sale for Philadelphia a few weeks back, sold, record-breaking sales in the first couple hours. Right. Because it's WrestleMania. You don't know what the matches are going to be. We've speculated. They've hinted. Everybody else is speculating. We have no clue who's wrestling who. We just hope this person will be there wrestling that person. But it's the event is what's selling. And I think that's what the problem is, that AEW seeing right now is because I feel like they don't have that overly compelling storyline that's going to draw you out of your house, out of the comfort of your, off the comfort of your couch, out of your four walls into an arena that's stuffy, that's whatever the case may be, because you feel like you have to be there. I just feel like that's what they're lacking right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's kind of not a small known fact. I mean, it's kind of like everybody knows. Yeah, AEW is really driven not on storylines. They're not very storyline driven. It's more match type spot type deal. Matter of fact, the biggest storylines that they had in the longest time involved Cody. Cody's no longer there. I mean, you had Cody, MJF, that kind of storyline. You had kind of Cody and Sammy, kind of their storyline. Now, I mean, MJF is really the one and only character that I could think of that's kind of driven into a long-term storyline. But yeah, so as far as AEW having a large house in London, to me, I think that was kind of a conglomerate of a few things. I think them being in Europe, being across the pond, so to speak, that was kind of a first. That was kind of a, hey man, we've never seen this before over here. Let's go out and let's check this out. Also, I don't know kind of geographically what many of you may pay attention to, but Europe, it's not uncommon to be able to go to 3 or 4 different countries in a day. Yeah,
I've heard that. I mean, I've never been, so I can't say specifically, but, my parents have been, family has been, and, that was kind of the thing. You can get on the train and visit, Germany and Paris and England and whatever other country over there, all in, in a day or two. So, yeah, it's a little bit different than how it kind of works for us.
Yeah, so you got people from many, many, many different countries kind of coming together for that. So, it was kind of a once in a, I don't want to say once in a blue moon because they've gone on record saying they're going to do it every year.
Yeah.
But
it's a first.
It was a first, kind of for them. So that there was a total difference between that house versus the house that we just saw for Wrestle Dream.
Yeah. Big time.
You could tell the house there in Wrestle Dream was just really, really small.
I mean, I think reported they said they had a hard time getting 7,000 in there. So you go from 70,000 a month later to 7,000. I mean, that's a hell of a fall off.
Yeah, and that's even with, some of the matches that were announced. Granted, they didn't announce them until late, but even with All In, they didn't announce them until late either for that.
Out, All In, none of the above. Yeah. They didn't announce them for any of them.
So, I mean, there's just a very weird dynamic that's happening right now within AEW that I don't know that we've seen that in a while as far as WWE. I mean, it took a downturn there for a while with Raw and SmackDown, but at the same time, these shows are selling 14, 15, 16,000 now in arenas every Monday and Friday night.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're taking a stance one company over the other. There's no tribalism here or anything like that, but it is apparent because you see it playing out on your TV.
I mean, yeah, it's just a fact. The fact of the matter is attendance in AEW's down. I think a lot of it is, when they're playing the quote unquote the hits, right? So England again was an event that they announced that well in advance. They got people excited about it. It was an event. It was a destination event. People want to go to things like that. Even TNA. Like if you look back at TNA's history, Impact Wrestling. In the early 2010, 2012 type, they were maxing out numbers in England. They had a real high TV rating over there. They went over there, sold a lot of tickets. There was even talk of them moving their base operations over there because they had so much support. All made sense, but it's kind of like what you don't get, you want more. When football goes over there, they don't have any. They get 4 football games a season. They sell out every one, no matter who the teams are.
Right. It's not local to them.
No,
it's
they
an
get
attraction.
Every now and again, they get crappy teams. Just here recently, the Jags went over there and played. It was a bad game. It was not a good game. These weren't contenders. These weren't great teams, but they were who they had.
Right.
They went over there, but the arena was full. because they don't get American football every day. They get excited to see it because it's not something they have. And that was All Out. Then when they came back and did All In, same difference. When they did Chicago, I might have the events mixed up, but you know what I'm going for here. Yeah. But when they came back, Chicago's like their home base. Chicago fans always turn out. They didn't even actually sell out because, the whole CM Punk fiasco from a week before, that kind of affected, but they had a pretty full house. But Chicago, again, that's like their home away from home. If you're going to call Jacksonville their home, Chicago's their second home. It's their biggest market that they fill, and they go there enough throughout the year to keep fans excited for it, to make it action-packed for fans. They're even going back at Thanksgiving. So, every 3-4 months, they run Chicago, and they get a good pull. They ain't never been in Seattle before. So going to Seattle, you would think, they had Daniel Bryan, Seattle resident, Seattle hometown boy, right. Darby Allin, Swerve. You got all these guys from Seattle. They had Sean Kemp in the house. I didn't even know he was still alive, but Sean Kemp was in the building. A Seattle Supersonic, hometown hero in the building. They pulled out the star power, but did any of those stars really have a strong enough storyline to draw that many people?
So, no, they didn't, but Wrestle Dream was not for your pop culture fan.
True.
Wrestle Dream was your hardcore fan.
So we've had these conversations numerous times about
wrestling,
AEW,
but like just a hardcore pro wrestling fan.
And
that's what that
we've
was
had these conversations with AEW before. More often than not, they're playing to the internet wrestling community, or like you said, that hardcore, down and out. I'm going to wrestling. I don't care who it is or what it is. I'm going to be there. It's that crowd. But that crowd don't pay the bills.
Well, that, and you got to look at location too, and then who they brought into the event.
Yeah. They
had at least 7 or 8 New Japan guys on the card wrestling in matches. Seattle is not that far of a jump from Japan.
No, it's just not in retrospect from all the other states. That's about as far west as you're going to get here.
Right.
So
as far as what they were doing there with kind of the locale and things like that, they agreed that they're going to get that kind of aspect because of the location. But for me, it was just a very kind of eye-opening, kind of looking at it going, what is going on here? Because look, me and you, we're hardcore fans of wrestling.
Yeah.
We're going to watch probably anything when it comes to professional
and let's be
wrestling.
honest, if we didn't have the responsibilities we'd go to a lot of these things.
Absolutely.
Like London, I'd have been in London if I could have found good tickets. Now, I would have been up in the nosebleeds in London because I'd have been watching TV just like I watched it here. Right. But if we didn't have the response, let's say 20 years ago, if this was 20 years ago, I would have been in a lot of these events this year. I definitely would have been in the Chicago ones. That would have been a given. But now, to whereas I still every year look at WrestleMania and say, man, is there a way I can pull off getting, and then responsibilities come in okay, this probably ain't going to be the best trip for you to make right now. And you definitely could stand without spending $5,000 or $6,000 in a weekend. So, grown up me says, I can't go this year. But I can watch it on Peacock for $5. No problem. But there's a lot of fans out there that don't have that responsibility, and they will travel for it, but they're not. All of a sudden they were, now all of a sudden they're not. And there's a reason behind that. And there's going to be a lot of fixes that they can work on to do it. But for me, I just feel like it's the story. I feel like with the story not being there, it's not making anybody want to get up off that couch and go see it.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So one of the kind of differences that we've kind of looked at as far as AEW, WWE, storylines, styles, and talent.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at the talent, a lot of people, we've kind of talked about this before. They look at WWE as the big leagues.
Yeah.
And whether it is or isn't, to me, I can't deny that WWE has that edge up on far as they don't have.
You got to keep it real.
They don't have edge no more.
Yeah, well, that's
they
true.
don't have edge no more.
They got a Copeland though. They can cope with what's happening here maybe now. But let's be honest. AEW's got 4 years. WWE's got 40. I mean, if AEW was beating WWE, that would be astronomical. That would be more than you could even possibly expect.
Right. So
it'd be great, but
as far as talent, I mean, that's just like anything else. That's like, Yankees baseball or New England back in the day when Brady was running hot, or Duke basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to recruit the best players because you're winning the championships. You're the best. So, I mean, so WWE, they've looked at, that's where the big boys, have all the talent and everything else. That's debatable. I mean, I can look at some of the players in AEW and go, you know what? I don't think there's anybody in WWE that could touch them. So
yeah,
I mean,
let's call a spade a spade. 3 years ago was WrestleMania. You got 2 of the 3, of the main eventers. You got 2 of the 3 I'm in AEW right now.
And I still don't know anybody in WWE that could outwork Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
So yeah, I mean, there's some people that could give him a great match. Like he squared up with AJ Styles one time. 10 years ago, if he had wrestled like Kurt Angle, that would have been phenomenal. 15, 20 years ago, if he could have tied up with Bret the Hitman Hart. But WWE right now isn't the workers' territory. That's a known thing for AEW now. It just is.
WWE has become the land of the storybook.
It's superstar world.
It's like, you've got this group in the Judgment Day running around going, we rule everything. You've got the Bloodline that ran around like the freaking Sopranos. I mean,
they're writing, they're writing the scripts. You got comic book heroes. You've got, like you said, dramatic heroes. You've got a lot of different aspects of it that AEW just ain't got. I mean, they don't have the characters that could carry it off that well, for one, and they don't have the writing staff to give it to them to carry it off that well. So
AEW, I look at their talent like at any given point in time, anybody, any place across from the ring of each other, let's square up and go.
Yep.
That's kind of how I see AEW. Sometimes it is a phenomenal match that comes out of that. Sometimes it's a cluster.
On the Wrestle Dream, we saw Daniel Bryan and Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh my God.
To watch that as a wrestling match, as a wrestling match, absolutely amazing.
That was like somebody opening caviar and going, enjoy.
Yeah, it was the very first time you had it, and it was a delicacy that it'll never feel that way again because now we've seen it.
Yep.
But do you remember what I told you while I was watching the match?
Yep.
I'm like, if Zack Sabre Jr. could sell a little bit, he'd be, quality WWE material. And I was like, that's why he didn't make it on his WWE run. And what'd you tell me? You said, yeah, but that's the New Japan style. That's just not what he's trained to do.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I get it, but it takes away from the match for me when you see a guy getting, his head pummeled in, and then, he just kind of brushes it off and then goes into another spot. I'm just like, is this the circus or is this wrestling? And when that starts to happen to me, it starts to take away from what they were building. The match alone, they built up a good story in the match. Stuff like that takes me out of that story. It starts to draw away from it and makes me remember more of, oh, that's right, this is predetermined, scripted, acrobatics basically.
And that's the different styles. That's the different styles. But then you look at storylines. Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, right now in their current setting, no story, no backstory, no about your back, none of that.
Yeah.
Take that all completely away. Drop those 2 wrestlers in AEW, tell them to fight. You going to get a good match?
Absolutely.
Yep. Are you going to get a good match that's worth investing your time and actually paying attention to every nook and every little cranny? No.
I mean, you're waiting for the next big spot.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's the AEW style. It's let me get to the next spot. Let me get to the next spot. Let me hurry up and get to the next spot.
Not slowing down, not letting it breathe.
If you notice when when Adam Copeland, the rated R superstar,
not Edge.
debuted, when he came out, and and Christian handed him the chair, just the stare down that him and Christian had.
That was beautiful.
That just dragged and dragged like it was supposed to.
Yep.
They let every fan accept what was happening, get the anticipation built up in their stomach. The goosebumps start forming because you're like, oh my God, Edge and Christian are staring at each other. They're in the ring together. Then he handed him the chair, and it's like, and Edge is looking at Sting, and it's like, oh my God, is he gonna hit him? Who's he gonna hit? What's gonna happen?
Now,
and and then he pops off and does what he does after every fan is like he gave him time to get to the edge of their seat to wait for it.
Now Booker's
I can say the edge of the seat.
Yeah, you worked at it.
There you go. I can say that.
Now Booker's Alliance. Let's take a moment. Let's book this because I thought about that for a minute. Had I been the pencil, had I had the pencil in that moment, I would have let it play out just like it did, except I would have made this change. When Edge took the chair and Edge is standing right there amongst all them, I'd have had the lights go back out. And then when they came back on, it would have been Luchasaurus, Christian, and the little guy in the ring.
Oh, Wayne?
Yep.
Nick Wayne?
Yep.
Okay.
With Sting gone, Darby gone, and Edge gone. It's completely gone.
Would you have Sting pick them all up and then take his harness and go up into the rafters like Sting used to do?
I don't know if I'd have done that.
Oh, okay, you'd have.
But I would have just left it hanging, just on that cliffhanger, because I need a reason to tune in to Dynamite.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me all day long, oh, yeah, Adam Copeland's going to be here to explain his actions.
Yeah, he's going to explain his actions.
Well, he's going to be there regardless. But, dude, if you want to draw a house and draw some numbers for Dynamite, leave me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Leave me wanting to turn in on Wednesday night and try to figure out what's going on.
Let's be completely, if you want to draw people, if you want to put butts in seats, they could have said the day before Edge was coming. They would have sold a lot of tickets.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Now, I get it. Tony Khan loves the surprise. And I don't know how Edge is ushering a new era of wrestling at 50 years old, but I mean, that's what we're getting. We're supposed to be going into the new era of wrestling.
Again, another topic explored for a different time.
Yeah, that's a whole different other. That's a whole other podcast.
But under-delivered.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's like a marquee of AEW sometimes, but here was a situation where they could have delivered on the right surprise had they touted the right surprise. Edge isn't redesigning any company. He's not going to reinvent the wheel. Not at his age, not at his physical condition. If they were getting AJ Styles, then you can say we're entering a new era because AJ's got a few good years left in him. If they were getting Roman Reigns, they could say, we just put WWE out of business. They just went away. That ain't happening. You got Edge, who pretty much, anybody who's watching AEW knows the IWC, they're in on the dirt sheets. They keep up with the backstage and all that. So everybody knew it was kind of happening anyway. So it wasn't like the biggest shock to us.
Especially when you got Christian Cage in the main event.
As a main event with Darby Allin. Come on now.
When you're running MJF,
on the same card,
you're champ.
Right, wrestling two people on the same card where you got Daniel Bryan, hometown hero, wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. and probably one of the biggest dream matches ever to not have happened yet.
Hell, they could have main evented that between Swerve and Hangman.
I was just getting ready to say that's what now, and I said that none of the hometown heroes really had a good storyline going into it. I did kind of skip out on Swerve. Swerve's got a great storyline.
Swerve and Hangman, they need to let that pony run. They do. They
can run that till quote unquote our version of Survivor Series. Yep. They can carry that for a long time because those two guys could go. They look great in the ring together, which means they got good chemistry.
Yep.
They damn sure do well talking with each other. I mean, when those guys promoted against each other, they were hitting on all points. Yep. they were letting some sneaky little bombs go out in there, and then they were just smacking you right in the face with some of the stuff they were saying, and it was great. Those guys, they absolutely could have main evented that. And finding out Swerve is from Seattle, I almost would have thought they should have main evented it, unless Edge is coming back. So,
right. Or the ring was going to get tore up.
The ring getting tore up because we definitely don't trust AEW to do anything like that with the ring and then try and put it back together and keep going.
No, they can't even blow up a ring.
Yeah, that's why I said, hell, I'm surprised they even got to tear it up the right way. It wouldn't have surprised me if he couldn't half-ass tear it up. But nonetheless, the fact that Christian was main event, and I'm like, okay, it's probably going to happen tonight. All the dirt sheets had just reported Edge's contract ended the Saturday before. And I'm like, what's the chances of all that happening? Just like that. But so those people knew it was happening. But you got, 15,000 people in Seattle that probably would have been like, man, I want to see Edge debut in AEW tonight. I'm right around the corner. Tickets ain't but $4. I mean, I could probably get in. But if you don't advertise it, you just say, hey, we're going to run this same event. There's no world title on the line at all. And you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, wrestling fans love to see a world title defended on a pay-per-view. You said there's no world title match at all. There's no marquee matchup that, I've waited my whole life to see unless I follow Japan and all that. I know who Zack Sabre Jr. is and the guys that wrestle with Kenny Omega. If you're just the Northern American wrestling fan, there was nothing that was dragging you out to that event. But if you would have said, hey, Edge, let's not say, or if you would have said the rated R superstar is going to be in the building, if they'd have done that in Charlotte, I would have went.
Yeah.
To see Edge debut here, I would have went before it, unless, we were going to cover it for the podcast or something like that. I wouldn't have been compelled to go on the card because the card wasn't that
all they had to do
magnetic to me.
All they had to do was run a small vignette. Run a small vignette on Dynamite or, Collision the week before.
Uh-huh.
All they had to do was run a small vignette.
Just hit at it.
With maybe, Christian Cage in the ring, blah, blah, blah. The lights go out. All of a sudden the prompter, or not the prompter, but the big screen in the arena starts playing, and it's a movie trailer.
Uh-huh.
And
the same movie trailer they used at the event.
Perfect, yeah. Or just something that says, this movie is rated R.
Yeah, anything
just
like that.
Something small.
Or even something real simple. If you're going to do a vignette, just, you can do like the car they had that he drove up in. Yeah. Just have that driving, and then have the Altered Bridge song play in the back. Yeah. Everyone knows what that means.
Or the tag, just say rated R super.
Exactly. Everyone knows what that means. Yeah. And people would have came out in droves to see that because if you remember the energy when Edge came back to the Royal Rumble before the pandemic, energy was off the charts. Yep. I mean, exploded. Because of the pandemic, that took a lot of the steam away from the return. But I mean, the fans were all over Edge being there. And that was a crowd that had seen a lot of stars that were equal to or above Edge.
Right.
In AEW, there is no star that's equal to or above Edge. We can say Daniel Bryan is what he is, but Daniel Bryan ain't got a 25-year main event career.
I think the only person that's going to come close to being what Edge is Jericho or Sting. I mean,
or Sting, yeah, absolutely.
One of those two guys.
But we know what we're getting with Sting, right? Like, he's not.
Do you know? Well, do you now know? I mean, this dude's jumping off a damn banister.
Yeah, I can see that. I need that to stop anytime now. Like, what I don't need to see is Sting break a hip or something on wrestling TV, and then that's how his career ends. So I definitely would like for him to find a way to go out on a high note, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, even when Sting was in WWE, his run wasn't what Edge's was, right? On either one of Edge's stints, even on Edge's second stint, Sting's run in WWE wasn't even as good as Edge's second stint.
Nah.
Chris Jericho is definitely on level, on par with everything that Edge did because their WWE careers kind of ran parallel. And, Edge stepped away for quite a long time. Jericho left WWE a few different times. So those two are pretty much on par. At some point, they should run into each other and have some, have some good interaction. But as far as, who's debuting, I heard somebody say yesterday, Edge is like taking CM Punk's spot, where CM Punk is faltering. I see Edge as a much bigger star than CM Punk. Now,
shots fired.
Yeah, the CM Punk fans out there are gonna, they're
come
gonna
at him.
Right, they're gonna die on a hill on that. But I'm from Chicago, and I'm telling you, Edge is a much bigger star. Edge had 10 years in before Punk even got there. So
Edge got Lita in the ring. I saw long got muscle.
So CM Punk had Lita outside the ring.
No.
With quite a few other people, but so CM Punk had Beth before Edge got there. Now, if we want to talk, if we want to get dirty now, we can talk about that. CM Punk can definitely say he was there first, but I digress.
Sorry, Lita. Sorry, Beth. We apologize.
Yeah, sorry, girls.
We apologize.
I mean, y'all were there, y'all did it, so you got to own up to it on the podcast.
Right, you got to own it.
Right, but at the end of the day, everybody ended up with who they were happiest with. So we are congratulatory of that. Except Lita. Is Lita with anybody? Like, is she the odd man out in all this?
If she is, it's not public.
If she is with somebody, it's definitely not public. But so what you're saying is she's got some down low activity? I mean, because
look, you talking like I know her. I don't know her.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
look, I'm married. I don't know her.
Right, but I mean, we're both spoken for. But she could sign me up at any point in time. I mean, especially like on that download stuff when don't nobody know, don't nobody have to know.
We're gonna bust out.
Right? Yeah, I mean, Lita pin me and her wrestle whenever she wants. She pin me whenever she needs.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
That may just be that ain't a prediction. That's a spoiler. But I digress. Nonetheless, though, Edge is their biggest star. He would have drew more crowd, and and going forward, he can draw more crowd for them. So it's definitely a great acquisition for him. But the fact of the matter is, they ran a pay-per-view. And they had less people in the building than we get listeners.
Yeah, there's a meme, when Edge first came out, and he's got that kind of look of bewilderment kind of on his face a little bit, and they were like, "This is what happens when Edge comes out and only sees 6,000 people." But there was, and we're gonna have to wrap it up here soon. But there was even a comment that Edge said in the scrum, and I know he probably didn't mean anything by it, but what was kind of implied when he said it kind of just makes me think a little bit. But he was talking about how, with him coming out there tonight made him feel like it was when he had his first indie show. And I'm like, dude, you
so yeah, out of context,
the boss awful. Is right there, and
that was CM Punk trashed the boss when he sat right there, and Tony Khan sat there as snowed up as he could possibly be, cheering him on like, CM Punk, keep going.
I know he didn't mean it that way though.
No, he probably meant as something new,
something that he never exciting.
Saw. Yeah, but it was brand new, it was fresh, it was all that. Right. But like you say, he could have said it felt like his first WWE pay-per-view, right?
Right.
There's a lot of other ways, but let's be honest, when he looked out there and saw 6,000 people, he probably did feel like, damn, I'm in somebody's gym, high school gym right now. This is gonna be interesting. But
yeah, so and this goes back to our other point that we were kind of had in our notes here just real quick. It's the marketing, it's the production, it's the appearance of it all.
Yeah.
It just WWE gives you that grandiose type stage. Yeah. It's that just over the top production, just incredible lighting, incredible.
I mean, look at Edge's entrance. When Edge comes out at WrestleMania,
there you that are entrance so
is, on
point.
That entrance is. I mean, it's magnetic. It looks like cinema.
Yeah.
When he came out at AEW, it looked like 10 guys had some sparklers in the back that they threw up in the air.
I hated how it looked because I understand.
How about how it sounded? Let's talk about how their sound quality. Let's put it like this: if I had a good karaoke machine, I could have done Edge's entrance in the driveway. Yeah. It would have looked the same. I could have hung an Edge poster behind me. I could have came out and played the music in my car stereo and threw up a bunch of fireworks. I made that same entrance happen just like that. And the man that owns this place is a billionaire. He could do better.
Yeah,
AEW do better.
when that first happened, I looked at it and I went, "Oh, that's so cool. That's Edge. That's Edge in AEW. That's freaking awesome."
When I saw Edge run out through the smoke and I saw how the smoke overtook him, I'm like, oh God.
When he did the fireworks spot and I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, poor dude. It don't look right.
Do you remember when Edge did Toronto just a month or so ago? It sounded like cannons were going off
like
with his fireworks.
World War III.
Exactly. When he threw his hands up, boom, 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 pop, 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 pop. Everything going crazy. When he came out there, it was like a couple sparklers, maybe a couple skyrockets went off. All that could have been done with a Kmart bag of fireworks is what they gave Edge for an entrance.
I need Tony to start investing in the production of these damn shows and quit spending millions of dollars to play Final Countdown for Bryan Danielson.
Well, I was gonna say he spent all the Edge money on Edge's song. He had nothing left for his entrance.
Actually, small little backstory about that. Edge actually has free reign to use that song. WWE never owned the rights to that song.
Well, that's Altered Bridge song.
So Edge and the guitarist for Altered Bridge is really good friends, and Mark Trinati said, "Hey, feel free to use this song anytime you want." So the fact that Tony didn't even have to put down any money,
he had some money left.
You could have put some money in the damn fireworks.
So to Tony's credit, he said if he'd have sold more tickets, he could have put some more money into it. True. But when you only sell 6,000 tickets, there wasn't no money left.
True. So that's kind of where we're going to wrap this up, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Always, we're not bagging on AEW. We love AEW. We watch every week. We watch every pay-per-view. But we're going to give them a hard time. That's part of it.
Let's be honest. They're in the growing pains of it. We're just kind of helping them along.
Absolutely.
We want them to succeed. So we're going to criticize what we have to make them do better. Do better, AEW.
Do better.
Absolutely. Make me want to watch you.
All right. With that, we thank you for listening to today's show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.